Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final episode of the Spline Starter Series. In this episode, we'll cover the export button and show you how to share your files with others. Let's dive in. In the Export tab, you have several options to share your URL and adjust your play settings. First, let's talk about sharing your project in the public URL sections. You can share your project link or embed link with others. The embed link is useful for tools like Webflow or Framer. At the bottom of the embed button, you can choose the main scene and select which scene should be initially loaded in play mode. In the camera section, you can select which camera is the main camera for your scene. In the logo section, if you have a subscription, you can remove the Spline logo from public URLs and the viewer. Next, we have the loading section. Loading lets you decide if you want a spinner loader to appear while your scene is loading. Finally, we have the hint, which appears if no interaction with the scene is detected, letting users know they can interact with the 3D content. Next is the performance section. This is a good place to check if your scene is optimized. If we click on the Run Test button, you can see where adjustments are needed. Green ticks indicate areas that are good, while yellow parts show where improvements can be made, but they are not critical. The red ones are the most important to improve for performance and the overall state of the scene. In our scene, we have a few yellow sections. For example, the total polygons are a bit high due to our high subdivision level for our buttons. We also have 3 effects and 9 textures, which is a bit high. At the bottom of the tab, you'll find suggestions for optimizing each issue to reduce your file size. At the top of the tab, you can see our export size is less than 2 megabytes, which is decent, but always keep an eye on this section to ensure your scene isn't too heavy. Let's close the Performance tab. At the bottom of the Export tab, you have the Update button. When you make changes to your scene, always update your public URL before sharing it with others. In the Viewer tab, you can also share your project. This tab is better for tools like Webflow, offering more flexibility when designing a website. You can also export the code of your scene. This feature is currently in beta mode. In the App Platform section, you can embed files for iOS, Xcode projects, or Vision OS. In the File section, the first option is the Image section, where you can render and save a single frame of your scene in JPEG or PNG format. Next, we have video recording, allowing you to record your scene in play mode and export it to MP4 or GIF. The next option is exporting your scene with various formats, GLTF, GLB, STL, and USDZ. Lastly, you can export your scene in Spline's native format. Now let's talk about the play settings. Here, you can hide or show your background, which is useful if you want to embed your Spline project in a tool like Webflow and use the website's background instead. We also have the page scroll option, allowing you to use website scroll in your Spline scene. The cursor mode can be set to default or none, affecting cursor visibility in the scene. As you can see, our cursor is not visible now. Next, we have 4 navigation options: Orbit, Pan, Zoom, and Soft Orbit. Turning off these options restricts movement within the scene. As you can see, we can't move our camera in play mode. Next, we have touch settings, which adjust the way the scene can be interacted with on touch screens like tablets. The on-hover button allows the scene to orbit based on mouse movement, with adjustable sensitivity and damping. You can also choose if you want to reset the camera to its original position when the mouse is out of the canvas or not. Next, we have the limit section. Here, you can choose a range to force the camera orbit, pan, and zoom to be constrained to a specific limit from the initial position of the main camera. The animated turntable feature rotates your scene automatically in play mode with adjustable speed and direction. The events behavior defines the behavior of events using click or touch on an object. If you choose Stop an Object, Then, if an object is blocked by another object, only the non-blocked object can be clicked, but in pass-through, the blocked object can be clicked. Next, you can choose the precision of glass materials. High precision gives you more accurate results, but will slow down the scene. Finally, we have the compression option, which gives you a few options to compress your scene and the quality of your images. You can choose between performance and quality, affecting the scene size and performance. Also, if you set the preload to yes, loading times of big scenes will be improved. Now that we've overviewed the Export tab, let's check the settings for our project. Hiding or showing the background doesn't affect our scene since we don't see the background in this project. We don't use page scroll either, but let's change the cursor to the default. For the navigation section, since we don't want any movement for our camera, we should turn off all these buttons. We can also disable touch settings. We're going to enable the on hover button to add a bit of movement to our scene and make it dynamic. Let's reduce the sensitivity to a lower number. Other settings are fine for this project, so we won't change them. Now let's click Update for our public URL and test if everything is working. Go to the Overview tab and click the Copy Link button, then paste it into a browser. As you can see, our project is working perfectly. Now you can share your Spline project with anyone. And with that, we've reached the end of this tutorial series. I hope you found these videos helpful and picked up some valuable skills along the way. If you enjoy the tutorials, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified about future content. See you in the next one and take care.